Good morning. Welcome to the Unionville High School, Putnam County High School 2014 Academic Hall of Fame program. The Academic Hall of Fame honors graduates who have had extraordinary careers based on their 4 years of high school education here in Unionville. Both of these new members were nominated by friends or family who took the time to write recommendations, fill out forms, and submit them to Dr. Halley's office. From there, a standing committee carefully reviewed all nominations and selected these two outstanding individuals as the 2014 UHS PCHS Academic Hall of Fame honorees. The first honoree is Mr. Dale Lawrence, Unionville High School class of 1959. Some memorable events from the years Dale was in high school include McDonald's beginning its growth. Elvis Presley was a musical sensation. The Wizard of Oz was filmed. As the World Turns began its popularity in TV. Dwight D. Eisenhower was our 34th president. Alaska was admitted as the 49th U.S. state, and Hawaii was admitted as the 50th U.S. state. Gasoline was 25 cents a gallon in 1959. Dale was born into the loving family of Ernest and Pansy Lawrence, along with his twin sister, Dottie, who is here with us today. His mother was an elementary teacher in Putnam County, and his dad farmed in the low ground area of Putnam County out east. He attended grades 1 through 6 at Low Ground School, grades 7 through 8 at Martinstown School, and 9 through 12 at Unionville High School. Dale and Dottie enjoyed the country life like all children living in a rural area. Life was simpler back then. Dale was involved with many high school organizations. He especially remembers FFA with John Maurer and going to state competition in radio contest. He remembers Mr. Green as his geometry teacher and Mrs. McGee as his English teacher. Dale tried basketball one year but found it very difficult getting home from practice. He had to hitchhike, making it nearly impossible to be on the team. He did run track, however, because the practices were held during the school day. His classmates must have respected Dale very much, since he was voted most dignified senior and most studious boy. Dale graduated as valedictorian of his class. He enrolled at the University of Missouri, where he earned a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. It was during his schooling at MU that he became involved with ROTC. Due to his eyesight, he was unable to pursue his desire to become a pilot in the Air Force. Upon graduation, Dale began working construction and had to move about every 6 months. Realizing this was not how he wanted to live, he decided to go back to school, this time at the University of Cincinnati, and earned a Master of Science in Business Administration and Industrial Engineering. This allowed him to finish out his career working for Procter & Gamble Company as site business leader / operations manager of 4 research and technical centers. Dale has been retired for 13 years and enjoys spending time watching his 6 grandchildren participate in activities. He is active in his church and is a docent for Fort Ancient, where he gives tours to school children. He and his family own the farm he grew up on in southeastern Putnam County, known as Low Ground Farms. He provides a scholarship each year to a senior at Putnam County High School in honor of his parents. He and his wife reside in Loveland, Ohio. Please help me welcome Mr. Dale Lawrence.
I'll just mention a few things about when I first started here. Growing up in the southeast corner of the county, 20 miles from Unionville, on the farm. My father's a farmer, my grandfather's a farmer, but they've always been farmers. Part of the farm has been the family for over 150 years. So you can call me a farm boy or country boy, because I definitely am. Before I could start at Unionville, the freshman, my sister and I had to come to town and talk to a guidance counselor. We had to set up our classes for the next year. I bet you have to do exactly the same thing today. I bet you do. When I came up to town, I pretty much already knew what I wanted to do. At least I thought I did. I knew I wanted to be a scientist or an engineer. That was really simple for me. And I told the guidance counselor that. And I said, I want to take algebra and geometry and chemistry and physics and all those kind of courses. And she looked at me and said, no. I said, what do you mean, no? She said, no, you don't need any of that. And I said, why? She said, because all you're ever going to do is be a farmer. Well, I told you I grew up in the farm. I love farming, and I wouldn't mind being a farmer. But I wanted to be a scientist or an engineer. And we had a little dialogue there back and forth for a while. And then she finally agreed to let me take geometry that first period. And after that, I went on and took all the classes I could. And I would mention to you today that I'm talking about 59 years ago. The counselors today are very professional, very well trained, and they listen to what they tell you. But what I would say is that listen to them, because you need to make the final decision of what you want to do, what you want to be. But take their advice, listen to them. In my case, like I said, I wanted to be an engineer or scientist, and that's what I did. As soon as I got through high school, I headed off to the University of Missouri, where I had a curated scholarship, and guess where I enrolled? College of Engineering. And I did engineering type stuff ever since then. The other thing I've mentioned to you is that you need to decide what it is you want to do, and most of you have. When I look at the scholarship applications every year, I'm really amazed, really, at the things you all do today. Things that we weren't able to do in my class back then. The classes you take, your computer classes, your college classes, the activities you're involved in. So it's obvious to me that most of you already know what you want to do, and that's great. Recognize one more thing, though. After you decide what you want to do, you have to work hard to make it happen. It doesn't just happen. I guarantee you, nobody walked up and tapped the doctor on the shoulder here and said, "You're a doctor." No, he had to work many years. He had to go to school. He had to spend a lot of time doing it. So remember, decide what you want to do, and recognize that you got to work hard to achieve it. And I'm confident you can do it. Good luck.
Our next honoree is Dr. Larry Wickless, another graduate of the Unionville High School class of 1959. Another twin sibling group graduated from UHS in 1959. Larry and his twin Linda enjoyed life in the Wickless family. They were inseparable. He grew up in a loving family with his twin sister and two younger sisters, and a dad that is familiar to most alumni from UHS, Mr. Paul Wickless, as many of you heard yesterday, a former superintendent here. His earlier years of school were in New Cambria, with many trips to the 700-acre family farm in Putnam County. Larry worked every summer on the farm. Larry played basketball, golf, and football during his high school career. He remembers teachers Mrs. McGee, Mr. Albertson, and Mrs. Eisenhower as some of his favorites. Larry and Linda enjoyed the prom and graduation as they ended their career at UHS. After graduation, Larry attended college and earned a Bachelor of Science from Truman State University in Kirksville. From there, he applied and was accepted into the osteopathy program at Kirksville College of Osteopathic Medicine. Dr. Wickless spent 47 years as an internist and gastroenterologist. Family was very important to Larry. Family reunions were a regular occurrence. Family members sometimes required his medical knowledge in an informal setting. Success runs in the family, as you can see in his attendance at his son's graduation. Time away from the job was important to him. During his career in medicine, Larry was president of the American Osteopathic Association, president of the American College of Osteopathic internists, and president of the Michigan Osteopathic Association as well. Travel is important to Larry. This year, and this is amazing, guys, he has traveled to Chile, Argentina, Brazil, Scotland, England, France, Spain, where he lost his cell phone, and Portugal, and will be leaving next week for Switzerland and Italy. Now that's what I call retirement. However, when Larry was asked about his retirement, he said he had failed miserably. He is currently Program Director of Internal Medicine with residents at a hospital in Florida and is acting medical educator at the same hospital. He has also volunteered at a clinic for underserved and homeless people in the Florida area. Dr. Wickless currently resides in Sarasota, Florida. Please help me welcome Dr. Larry Wickless.
Well, good morning, everybody. What was the score of the game last night? Softball. And who won? Did it rain? Yeah. I was here all day yesterday, and we're looking outside, and it was just pouring. And I saw everybody run out and run between the raindrops, and of course nobody got wet, I guess. 8-3, that's very good. Anyway, good morning, everybody. What I'd like to do is thank a few people, of this honor, and I've known about this for several years, and I've talked to Ray Klingensmith and others in the Alumni Association about this, and I think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing. I'd like to thank Dr. Halley, I guess he just received his doctorate degree, and Jeremy Watt for helping organize this. And I told Linda Davis, who put the slides together, I talked to her yesterday, and I said, I hope I don't have to retract my thank you, and I don't. And I saw some pictures I haven't seen in years, so it was wonderful to look at that. And I also like to thank my twin sister, Linda, who's here, and my other sister, Nancy, who's here, for nominating me for this. And also I'd like to give congratulations to Dale, who I haven't seen in years, and we had many classes together, and thinking about the memories and individuals specifically, a lot of things come back to this. I've spent probably the first 25 years of my life in Putnam County, and majority of it, was in the summertime growing up, even though we didn't come up here and start high school until our sophomore year, Linda and I did. So, I probably have more remembrance of Putnam County in that area than I do of Unionville specifically. And at one time, I worked on our farm, Dale and I are farm boys, so to speak. But I worked on our farm until I was in medical school, and I laughed about it one time, that was probably one of the highest educated farm hands in the state at one point. But I had a choice between, I like farming too, like Dale said, but, there are cold days in the wintertime feeding cattle, and, if you had a choice between doing kind of like what I've done or something else indoors in the wintertime, which choice most people would take. So anyway, we've had a good education, Dale and I both, we've accomplished a lot, and also my family, my sisters and I, my three sisters and I, Barbara's not with us today, but she has passed away, but the four of us have a total of 10 advanced degrees. After we got out of here, we utilized those, to advance our careers, in education, primarily for two of my sisters, and then one of my sisters has a nursing degree, my twin sister, and also a degree in English, which is very interesting. There's stories about that over the years that have come up. You write very well. Well, I should. I have a degree in English, and they're talking to this nurse. They have no idea about, background. But our father believed, who was superintendent of schools here, not in one type of education, you ought to be cross-trained so you can do a couple different things. I enjoyed the time we spent yesterday in the classrooms of Mrs. Partridge, Ms. Critwell, and also Mr. Brummett, and talking to the students, answering questions. It's very interesting. And I was asked at the last period, if things changed, and I think they have. I just noticing being around, and you'll probably see this somewhat this afternoon, things have changed a lot. I noticed that there aren't as many skirts as there used to be. People tend to be actually, which is in a way mild criticism, they're a little heavier now than used to be because I didn't see people, and I noticed this because of my practice of medicine. You pay attention to what's happened to our society and weight gain. But anyway, as far as this, I enjoyed immensely the time there and the interaction, the questions, and about what we were going to do for that day. I did, as Dale mentioned, I had the privilege of having Ruth McGee for 3 years. Did you ever that long?
I don't think so.
Yeah, and our father being an educator, there was 2 English teachers, and there was one that was very easy, and there was one that was very tough. And I thought, well, I'll take the easy one because that's what you would theoretically do. But I had the privilege of taking Ms. McGee for 3 years, and she had a great impact because of what she did to us as far as the English language and literature and books and things of that nature, and it's followed me, throughout my adult life. As far as Mrs. Eisenhower, she was my physics teacher. I remember Dwayne and Snyder back there and I were in the same physics class together. I don't know how many were in our class, maybe 18, 20, something like that. But at that time, it was an elective. I guess now you have it as a requirement, but I think physics was interesting. Science was very interesting. And we had Mr. Albertson in math. He was a wonderful math teacher. And, these are things you just have to deal with. Reading, writing, and arithmetic, you still can't get away from that, even though we have computers. And as somebody was so shocked, we didn't have calculators. One of the classes yesterday, I mentioned that. And somebody, oh, you didn't have a calculator? No, we didn't have calculators. We did it in our head, or we did it with pen and pencil. So it was a wonderful time we had here, and I enjoyed it all, enjoyed coming back here and visiting and everything. But I do have some observations and thoughts for students that are out here. So just please bear with me. And as I told somebody yesterday, I don't want to sound parental here, but, my wife Carol and I, we have 2 sons. One's a lawyer and one's a dermatologist, a physician. And we've gone through the throes, and there's nothing as humbling as being a parent. So all you children, here I go again. All you young ladies and gentlemen out here, you got to be thankful to your parents because, I think Mark Twain's the one that said that the older I get, the smarter my father gets. And there's a lot of truth to that because that's part of the growing up. But anyway, here's some observations and thoughts for you to ponder. Number 1, and I don't want to go through these, that's part of math and being, trying to do things in organized fashion. Study hard and challenge yourself because if you don't challenge or push the envelope, you're not doing enough. You probably won't advance or go into areas that you probably should investigate as far as what you want to do in life. Number 2, observe your surroundings and the environment because a lot of the changes you have now and the decisions you make are made within your environment, within this county, within Missouri, nationally and also internationally because we're becoming more international. You have to also develop critical thinking skills and make good decisions. You should make these thoughtful decisions about what you want to do with yourself and what you want to do in the future. As I mentioned yesterday, when you read, have a dictionary by your side, and also a good dictionary because if you can't find a word in your dictionary that's in print, you don't have a good enough dictionary. So read these, expand your vocabulary, and you're going to be judged in the future when you do interact in a business world. You'll be judged by the quality of your speech, your thoughts, and also your writings. Another thing, use a mentor or develop a mentor. As you're younger, your mentors are your parents or an aunt and uncle or some other relative. As you go through life and you go to college, you'll have mentors at that level. And then if you pursue a professional career, there'll be somebody in business if you're in a business situation, or an associate if you're doing some other things that will help you and guide you and show you the way to go or try to help you from making mistakes because everybody makes mistakes and as you go along. So you want to avoid those. You ought to also be familiar with the concept of lifelong learning because as you grow older, you keep learning. In medicine, the half-life of medical knowledge is about 5 years, and some people say it's even decreasing down towards 3 years. So whatever you know, whatever area you're in, you're going to have to continue to pursue that and keep up to date. And finally, whatever you do, I don't care if you stay here and farm, I don't care if you're a teacher, I don't care if you go into business, small or large, or work for a corporation, just do the best job you can, and you'll be proud of yourself and where you came from. Thank you for your time.
Again, we really appreciate Dr. Wickless and Mr. Lawrence to be here with us today and bring some family members and friends as well with them. We have recorded this presentation today, and we'll give a copy of that to you very soon. So, students, real quickly, we would like to say that we've done this to encourage our students to be the same, to be like this, to be inspired. And we hope that what you've heard today and what you will hear later on today from our guests will be important to you.